Hello YouTube, hello. And we're back with another speed lab, and this time it's gonna be a full one. So my previous speed labs were mostly season 2 and season 2 stuff, but Victor I'm gonna do a full speed lab on, like the whole character. It's not only just season 2 stuff. There are a lot of season 2 stuff as well, but yeah. And Wolfshine, thank you for the sub. Big thank you, bro. That's a lot of months. Okay, so yeah, let's start talking about Victor. So this character, in my opinion, is very strong. You don't see the character much, but that doesn't mean the character's weak, obviously, right? Just like before Atif we started playing Anna, that didn't make Anna weak. So yeah, Victor, very good character, and now I'm gonna just, you know, explain some of the stuff. I'll start with the neutral tools, then the stance tools, and then some heat stuff. And I also really need to mention the wall combo. Hopefully I don't forget. Usually not, because wall combo is one of the most important things about this character. Okay, so Victor. One thing is, I'm just gonna say it upright, is one of the best ways to deal with the Victor movement-wise is to sidestep into the left in some situations. Obviously not all of them, he has tracking moves. But something like, for example, a down forward 1, right? You can't step to the left while you cannot step to the right. Sometimes you can step it to the right, I think, sometimes, like that situation, right? But usually it's better to step to the left, and after you step left, obviously you can, you know, either punish it or anything. So usually step left will work, something like down forward 1, which is important. And down forward 1 can be an important move for Victor, or down forward 1 or 1-2s. 1-2 is gonna be a little bit harder to step because of the 2 being a tracking move, basically, right? You can step it to the right, but yeah, the 2 tracks to the left. It's like a problem when it comes to stepping in a neutral, but if they like doing 1-2s too much, you can just go to the right. Like everything has an exception in this game, so yeah, if they like checking you 1-2s anyway. Okay, so that's important. Down forward 1, 1-2. 1+2, also very important move. 1+2 is their basic counter to check. So this is a counter launcher for Victor. They will basically press this button when they think that you're gonna press, right? It's a counter bait, not counter bait, but a counter button in general. This has the same weakness as the other moves. This also can be stepped both sides. But yeah, usually I would suggest left still because of the down forward 1 and some other moves as well, right? So if you go left, that will be fine, but 1+2, just have to remember that on block it is -9, it is not punishable, but this does not mean you can go in and hell sweep someone, right? The -9 mind game is a thing in general, like it is a thing. So they might do this into, let's say, a hop kick, right? Victor's hop kick is -19, but still, they can't do it. This into hop kick, they can do that. This into parry, they can also do this. Or this into jabs, right? It's possible, they just press after it. So you have to be careful, especially when you play Kaz. People are afraid for hell sweep, so they're just gonna press, even in -9 situations. So that's about 1+2, main weaknesses of it anyway. Now let's talk about forward 1+2. I'm gonna go a little bit fast because I don't want this to be 2 hours long, for example. Most likely it's gonna be 1 hour long, but still. But yeah, forward 1+2, this is a season 2 thingy. +3, right? This wasn't plus before, but now it's plus. The +3, very long range mid, so it even reaches from here. Like, look at that range, right? It's like 3.3 range. It still reaches very long range, and you have to be very careful when it comes to this move. Because a lot of people will mash after this. I mean the Victor player. They will press after this. For example, they might wall running 2 after it because they might think that you're not going to do anything, right? Because of the range. Something like this. But usually they will not do anything and just sidestep to bait something out. The main thing about this move is that even though it's +3, Victor players will usually use it in a way to bait a move from you, right? They're just gonna sidestep. If you press something, they're gonna, you know, down forward 2, punish you. Because of the pushback. The mind game of a plus frames usually starts on close range, like this kind of situations, right? When this happens, up forward 1 is their most basic check. So up forward 1 will track you if you go to the right, and that's why I keep saying to go to the left. Up forward 1 is an amazing move, absolutely amazing move that Victor players have. It's a very good check in most plus frame situations, and they will use it a lot because it's also confirmable. Right, this into the 1, somewhat you can confirm it. It's not that easy, but you can do it. Somewhat. It's very similar to EI 1-1, and I think EI 1-1 is more confirmable. Yeah, this is way more confirmable. But yeah, both of them are... This is way harder. I might even think this is borderline impossible. Yeah, this is pretty hard actually. I think the EI one is confirmable. So yeah, this one not as much, but yeah, they will check you with this. Basically, it is possible. It is really possible. They might maybe not hit confirm, but situation confirm it. Okay, so that's about up forward 1. This is gonna be their main check. They can also check you with either 1-2s. I already mentioned 1-2s, right? 1-2s, down forward 1s, that kind of stuff. Preempting for help. So yeah, important to realize that you are in minus, but one of the best things you do here is a single backdash, because usually the pushback is enough to make things swift, usually. And I already said the exception is like close range into this, but you usually will not see this. Victor players will not use it this close range, usually, anyway. Okay, so that's important. Usually up forward 1 check, down forward 1 check, 1-2 check. Close range is just good to know. But as I said, you just have to be patient when blocking this. If you think the Victor player is very patient as well, maybe somewhat you can go in, you know, play the mind game and make them press, bait something out, or mix them up. Possible, but usually not worth it. And it's also very strong, right, on hit. It's very, very strong. 30 damage, heat engager, and then heat also launches. So yeah, be careful about this move. Be very, very careful, especially in heat. If you think that the Victor is out of range, let's say they're like somewhere around here, and you think they're out of range, they're not. They just use this move and hit you. And if they're in heat, as I already said, they just do this and they hit you with it. They're just gonna launch you, go to the wall, and then do their busted wall combo, which I will mention a little bit later. Okay, so that's very important. Forward 1+2, 1+2, 1-2s, down forward 1s, very, very important. Now let me mention this move. Another very important move for Victor, down 2. So down 2 is a 15 frame, not 15, 18 frame heat engager. This is 15, my bad. But yeah, 18 frame heat engager. That's 0 on block. So the main reason this is so strong is because the strip damage, 1, 0, 2, and it's fast, right? It's pretty damn fast. 18 is pretty fast. So it has a lot of properties. This still has the same weaknesses as some of the other moves, which are, you know, steppable, for example. Right, you can step this to the left. I think you can even step to the right. Yep. But as I said, step right is not recommended as much. Step left is usually where you want to go, unless the Victor player catches on and does something specific, right? That's like a different situation. So yeah, that's about that move. Down 1+2 is usually used at the wall, so I won't talk about this too much. But yeah, that move is just very, very important to realize what to do against. So yeah, be careful with it, basically. Down 4, down back 4. Now those are the lows that you would usually see in the neutral, usually. So down 4 is their low risk, more or less low risk low, because it has decent range, right? But it's only -13. For us, this is still a launch, but one thing, this is important, right? For TP in general, is that it can whiff. Most of the time it won't, but it has the problem of it whiffing. It's just the problem that this move in general has. But in closer ranges, you can TP it. This -13, and it's very good to twin piston, because, you know, -13, very, very important. For down back 4, they will usually use this in some sort of setups. Like for example, they might do a forward 1+2 into down back 4. Like this kind of stuff can be possible, definitely can. As long as they think that you might like doing jabs, let's say you like doing jabs, they'll do a down back 4, right? And this will hit you. Usually it will hit you. Obviously, if you think it's coming, you can block it, but you can't react to it. It's pretty fast. Sometimes you can, but let's assume you can't, right? That's a normal assumption to make. And +4 on hit. This is very important, and you have to know what to do against it. So down 4 is minus, so it's not that big of a deal. It's -2, so you usually have some sort of freedom when it comes to getting hit by this. Let's say you can jab, you can move. It's not that, the mind game is not like too complicated. But this is a bit complicated. The main reason is not only because of the +4, but also because you and Victor are both forced into crouch. So let me just demonstrate this. So down back 4, when you get hit by this, you're going to be forced to crouch, and if you press, let's say, a 4, you're going to get the wall standing 4, right? That's what it means to be forced to crouch. But the problem here is that Victor is also forced to crouch, and Victor's full crouch game is pretty damn strong. So let me just talk about this full crouch. The full crouch, there are two options. Wall standing 1+2, mid, and the full crouch down 1+2, low high. So this is basically a low mix-up versus mid mix-up, right? Very, very fast mix-ups. Both of them are fast, so you have to guess. You're forced into a guess here, and you are forced into a pure guess, more or less, after down back 4. Because this sequence, down back 4, 1+2, cannot be avoided by any kind of movement. For us, especially, not specifically. I'm not too sure about any of the other characters. I haven't tested this, right? I'm just testing with Kaz. But you cannot move away from this either direction. You can't backdash away from it. Maybe in like longer ranges, maybe, but even then, I doubt it. Yeah, no, you can't backdash away from it. You can't press into it because it's a frame trap. The only thing you can do here is a heat burst. Nina and Anna can power crush because they have full crouch power crushes, but for universal power crush, you have a heat burst, so that's the only thing you can do. So basically, you're just stuck here, you can't do anything, and you're forced to guess after down back 4, right? You have to be very, very careful here, because that is a mix-up to down 1+2. Down 1+2 is the low option, and 1+2 is the mid option. It's pretty simple, mix-up from full crouch, but it's very, very scary because you can't really use movement to avoid it. You can use movement to avoid the low, so let me just mention this. The low can actually be stepped to the left. So, as I said, step left, your go-to, usually. But the mid is gonna catch you. And usually, you won't be able to step left and block fast enough to not get caught by 1+2 while also avoiding the low. So, as I said, it's gonna be very, very hard to actually avoid this with any kind of movement, or even block it with like a movement block option. You basically have to hold back here. Basically. Oh yeah. So that's a full crouch mix-up, and after down back 4, just have to look out for it because Victor is in full crouch and they will do these moves. Other thing they can also do, almost forgot to mention this, is a while standing 2. So while standing 2 is their countered option. So this is the mix-up option, these two, right? But there's also a countered option, which is while standing 2. 14 frame countered, so if you press something, let's say I do a while standing 4, it will counter launch you. The best thing to do against this move is a sidestep to the left. Sidestep right also works. Yeah, I did not know that. But yeah, sidestep left usually is better because you're also gonna avoid the low. Just in case it's better to go left. But yeah, sidestep left against this move, but the 1+2 just basically stops you from doing anything. Which, there are a lot of moves in this game that are exactly like that. It just exists. They're also safe, and you just can't do anything about it. And you can't move against it, so you're just stuck in one place. Even though you want to move because of some other moves. Let's say. Just like in this example. So you have to be very, very careful about pressing here, because it will counter launch you even if you press a down jab, let's say. It is still a launcher. It is a frame trap. So be very careful. But if you do heat burst, like I said, right, heat burst, you'll also beat this. Yeah. That's about that. Very important. And while standing 2, also will mention this very briefly. It's -8 on block, just like this. Both of them are -8. Well, -8, I already mentioned the -9 mind game. It's very similar here. And Victor players love going for a power crush here. Maybe even something like this. This is a button and the flowchart that a lot of Victor players will do. So when you block this, sometimes you have to check them. And with Kaz, you have to check with, I don't know, maybe a jab, maybe down forward 4, maybe an electric, right? So you have to check. Because if they power crush, they will beat your down back 4, not down back 4, but mix-up option, let's say. When you try to forward 4-3, when you try to hell sweep, even forward 4-2 if you delay it too much. Actually, I think it will just beat you even if you don't delay it. But yeah, very important. Like, these kind of mind games exist, so even if you block it, sometimes you have to check them. Sometimes down back 4 is fine, right? Down back 4 can work. But a lot of people also do a backdash into a duck for Gaz. This is very common. Like -frame backdash duck, for example, right? The main reason this works is because hell sweep takes a little bit of time, so they block the hell sweep, and the same with down back 4, right? They have similar timings. You can catch this obviously with like some Kazuya stuff, but I'm not gonna mention that. That's a little bit too Kazuya related. So yeah, Victor, these very important to know, full crouch mix up. But now this also very important to know is that what happens when you get hit by them, because you will get hit by them. When you get hit by this, you're -6, and when you get hit by this, you're -8. And I'm also gonna mention one more move, which is also very similar. These three are very, very similar. It's 1-1-2 into stance. This is +7. So they have like single frame differences, 6, 7, 8. But situation is basically the same. There's like one difference when it comes to the +6 one, but just ignore that. Like, trust me, ignore it. But Other than that, situation is very, very similar. And the situation is you're basically guessing for either this, right, that low, or this mid. This is basically a pure guess, and you have to guess unless you can react to the low. Some people can. I somewhat can sometimes, right? But it's gonna be very hard. Like reacting to this, for example, or in this situation, it's not gonna be easy. So it's basically a guess between that and the 3. So this is a safe mid. And I also have to mention this, right? Very important to mention. That you cannot sidestep this. If you get hit, you try to sidestep, you cannot sidestep. How the hell did I step it? Wait 1 second. Because I tested this move. I can't test that. Not test that, step that. I can there. Oh my god. Okay, apparently you can step to the right. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Okay, so when I tested it, I was getting hit by a lot of this. More or less both sides. Today, Tekken decided to let me sidestep, I guess. Sometimes. But yeah, apparently sidestep right can work. If you buffer it, you have to buffer it, right? But yeah, be careful about stepping to the right because the low will catch you. From what I labbed, anyway. So, yeah, let me just test that out. Because, you know, everyone can be wrong. I'm just testing out. But more or less, you're just guessing here. So this into low. You are gonna get hit if you try to step. Then you try the other side. You're just gonna get hit. Right? If you try to do a side step into a duck, you're not gonna make it fast enough. So it's still more of a guess. I guess you can sidestep the mid. To be honest, I think it's inconsistent. I was getting hit sometimes. It's a little bit weird, especially in a real match. But yeah, I guess you can step it in all these situations because you could +8. So yeah, that's important. But other than that, one of the most important things to realize here, so I'm also going into the stance and explaining it. So low mix-up, mid mix-up. Tracking move, you won't see this that much, but if they do this, just remember it's only -2. It's very low minus, so they might just mash after it. Let's say this into that, right? This into 1+2, or this into 1-2, or 1-1. They can mash after it. But the most important move from this stance, I don't know what the stance is called, I think it's called Perfumer or something. Most important move here is one, the EI transition. There are two things actually. So the EI transition is very important because if you respect it too much, let's say you get hit by this. Taking transition into EI, and this stance is way scarier because this stance has a hell sweep, it has a tracking mid, it has a tracking high. So I will mention some of the stance options here, but basically it's way scarier if you respect it too much. You can react to it and press, let's say, right? But still, very, very hard to do, so scary. The other thing is the 2-2. The 2-2, in my opinion, is the most scariest thing here because it's a mid check, super fast, 12 frames. You can't power crush it, rage guard it, you can't do anything about this. You're gonna be in a pure mix-up, even in +6 situation, right? This into this. The main reason this is so scary is because this has 3 options, 3 mind games, basically, right? One mind game is the stance into 2-2-1, which is you have to duck it and punish it. This is a high, you duck it, and you punish it. Now there's a mix-up to it. Stance 2-2-1+2. You duck it, you're gonna get hit by this mid. So you have to choose here. Duck or not, don't duck, right? And if you duck, you're gonna hit by the mid, but the high, you're gonna avoid. But let's talk about these 2 moves when you block them. So when you block the 2-2-1+2, it is -13, you punish it, right? Obviously. But when you block the 2-2-1, which is the high, this is very important. It has a lot of pushback and it's -1. Because sometimes you will block this. You won't always, you know, duck here. And it's very important to know the minus frames here, and that it pushes back, and that the victor player might, you know, bait something out. Let's say if you try to press something, they might will punish you for it. So, yeah, very, very important. Off topic, but how do you deal with Arena? Mix up after down to 1+2. I think it's usually a guess. I haven't labbed it, so I can't say for certain, but I think it's a guess. Alright, so that's about that. That's about that, more or less. Very, very important for this to realize that there's a high and the mid. But now, the most important option is the stance transition. So those 2 options, which is the high and the mid, basically stop you from pressing, right? You won't press here, usually. Now this stance uses that fact that you're not gonna step, you're not gonna press, you're not gonna do anything, and goes to the stance and mixes you up. So this is very scary because something like this might happen, like this. You get hit by this, right? 2-2, stance 1+2, and they just continue pressuring you. Let's say, right? So it's very, very important to realize that this is one of the options. You most likely will not match after 2-2 anyway, unless it's a hard read. You can maybe down forward 2, right? But usually it's very scary, very, very scary to match there, and usually you won't because the high is a counter launcher. So let me just demonstrate that. This into 2-2-1. Let's say you just instantly press down forward 2 after 2-2. This is a counter launcher, right? So you have to be very, very careful here. What you can do is do a delayed button. Somewhat it can work, but as I said, this is just scary, especially to 2-2 EI, because in EI they have a hell suit. I already mentioned this. This is a hell suit and tracks really well, so you can't step this usually. So yeah, this is the scariest option. I think this is more or less about this stance. The main transitions for this stance is gonna be this. I already mentioned this, right? This, so while standing 1+2, full crouch low, and 1-1-2 and do that. They can also manually go for it with forward 3 if they feel like it in the neutral. Right? They can't. But this is like the most common transitions that you're gonna see to this stance. Unless I'm forgetting something, but these are the ones I know of. So yeah, very, very important. I covered this stance more or less, but now I have to mention 2 more moves in the neutral, and they are also gonna transition into this stance, EI stance. So this is his most scary stance in the most scary situations. The scariest ones. Alright, so those 2 moves is wall running 2. Everyone saw this coming. So wall running 2 transitions into this. EI stance, +5. You're in a mix-up in the stance. But the victor is not forced into the stance, so they can just choose to not do it, right? So the mix-up and the mind game here is a little bit, how to say it, complicated. But I'm gonna mention the stance transition because most Victor players are gonna transition into the stance. But if they don't, usually they will backdash, sidestep, maybe power crush, maybe 1-2, down forward 1. You know, normal checks. But I will mention the stance transition. The other move, which also transitions into the EI stance, is this move right here. So this is a new move, and both of them have very, very similar mind games on hit. Not on hit, but this on hit and the mid on block. So while running 2, when you block it, -5, EI stance, right? And the one rank 1+2, when you get hit by it, -4, EI stance. Very similar, 1 frame difference. Doesn't make a difference, to be fair, the 1 frame. So, yeah. Very, very important. So while running 2, it's a mid. The main weakness of the move, let me just mention this real quick. Main weakness of this move is that whenever they try to do it, you just have to sidestep to the right. So step right in the neutral is fine, because this has a slightly better tracking to the left. You can see the tracking, right? But not as much to the right. Step right against this, but if you're close range, step left, because, you know, down forward 1 and all that moves. I already mentioned them, right? But if you're in the neutral, just playing neutral and moving against the Victor, like in this kind of range, stepping right for the one running 2s can work. But the Victor can also use it in his advantage and, you know, just, you know, pressure you a lot. Maybe even do this and duck in your face because you're stepping right so much. So, yeah, very, very important. Very, very important to realize this. While running 2. And while running 1+2, this move. This move can also be stepped. Let me just demonstrate it. So it can also be stepped to the right. So if you do step right in the neutral, it's gonna work out. But one thing to realize here is that you cannot electric this. Right? Very important for Mishima players. You cannot electric this, for Kazuya players specifically, and Heihachi players, because damn, electric worked there. You have to delay it. Yeah, I did not know that. I just learned about this myself. So if you delay it, apparently you can punish it. But usually it's better to do a mid punishment, because if you're too fast here, it might not work. But yeah, I just learned that if you delay the electric, it works. I guess it's fine then. But yeah, you can step it, but it's gonna be very hard to step because it's a wall running move. Same with the wall running too. If the Victor player, excuse me, if the Victor player delays the wall running 2 or delays the wall running 1+2, let's say, they might track you even though you're stepping a lot or sidewalking. So you have to be careful about that. Alright, so these 2 moves, very important. Then now let's mention the stance transitions, because the stance is the most important thing that this character has. So the EI stance, go to Victor. This stance has a lot of options, a lot of them. So let me just mention some of the ones that I can quickly get rid of and just talk about. 2, basically, this is a tracking option. It doesn't have a tracking particles, you know, the green sparks or blue sparks, whatever you want to call them. I don't think it does anyway, but this is basically a tracking move. So whenever this happens and it does a 2 in this situation, you cannot step this. This is unsteppable with Gauss anyway, right? Whenever I say unsteppable, I mean with Gauss. Because, you know, I'm a Gauss player, I love this with Gauss. I'm not labbing this with Willy. So, yeah, this is basically a tracking move. You can't step this, and you're forced to either mash, let's say 1-1-2, this will work. Same with the power crush, right? Or just do nothing. Down jab will also work. And if you do nothing, it's safe. So it's -9. It has pushback, so the mind beam is pretty good. Because if you try to mash here, you can see that my jab whiffs, right? The first hit of the jab, it whiffs because it's pushback. Have to be careful. But you cannot use any movement options because of this specific one. So that, very important. The other one, which also tracks. So right now I'm just talking about tracking options. It's the 1+2. So this is an actual tracking move this time. Not the move that tracks. So this is a high, unlike the mid. So if you try to step, this will catch you. It being a high makes it so that you can step into a duck here. But there's no reason for you to start stepping because the 2 is going to catch you anyway. So the step duck will beat it. But so will a duck. And the 2 will catch you no matter what. So if you step duck, the 2 will catch you. If you step, it will catch you. If you duck, it will catch you. So there's not much reason to do a step duck maneuver instead of just hard reading and ducking it, right? For example. So those 2 options, very important. I already talked about the mid on block, but this on block is -3 for you, right? It's -3. And whenever that happens, yeah, 1+2, they will teleport right in front of you and instantly mix you up. Instantly. They will do a 1-2 to check you, down forward 1 to check you, 1+2 to check you. But +3 is not that high, and he is not an EI stance. Like, he's not in the same stance anymore. He does teleport, it looks like he is in the stance, but he's not. So they'll basically press something to catch you, maybe, or check you, or they will mix you up, maybe even down back 4. So something like this kind of sequence, this kind of sequence might happen because you might jab here. This, then we try a 1-1, now I'm counter launched. Right? So this can happen because if you are doing jabs a lot in a +3 situation, they might down back 4. They might press other stuff, is what I'm talking about. So, yeah. 1+2, the high, +3, good to remember. Now let's talk about some of the other options before I go to the best one. So 3 is a power crush that he has here. I will talk about this move a little bit later as well. But yeah, this power crush is a very important move. So whenever he feels like you're gonna mash, he can do this move. You just throw this out, you're gonna get hit by it. This also tracks really well to the right. Very, very well to the right. So you have to be very careful. Okay, that's about this move. I'll also showcase, let me actually showcase the tracking of the power crush. As I said, it's not worth stepping here, but let me just showcase this. I got lucky there. There we go. So if you're lucky, you can change sides and step. That's when you get lucky. But yeah, look at that tracking, right? It tracks really, really well unless you get super lucky. If you get lucky, sometimes you change sides, but then you won't be able to punish it anyway because it's hard to punish. So yeah, be very careful. You can't step it to the left. This is the way you want to go against this armor, but as I said, stepping here is not the best thing. It's really not that good. This is the 2 existing. Oh yeah, so that power crush, pretty important to know. You won't see us too much after these 2 moves that I talked about because it's a mix-up situation and this is really a mix-up option. They can use this as a mid, let's say, but usually they will go for the 2. Usually, if they want to go for it. Oh yeah, now let's talk about the 4, which is a low option. There are 2 low options here. So 4 is a fast one, a little bit faster one than normal anyway. And the 4 also keeps Victor in the stance. +3 keeps in the stance, and you have to deal with all of this again, basically, right? So the 4 is important because it's -13, which means Kazuya can TP it when you block it. But on hit, you have to just deal with the same stance mix-ups. Also, another thing, this low has a high follow-up. So the high follow-up basically means that you cannot reliably punish this. Let me just showcase this, right? Let me do something like this into this. So let's say you read the low and you duck it. get hit by this, it can happen, you duck it, try to punish it, you are gonna get launch voice. So you have to be very, very careful about punishing that, because it's a mix-up, basically, right? You either punish it or not for the high. If you think the high is coming, just stay ducking, punish the high, but you cannot punish just the low. It's not like a jailing string or anything, so you have to guess. Very important. Now another low is the health sweep. This is basically a health sweep. So this into health sweep is a tracking move. So while running into this, you can't do anything about this. You cannot. You also cannot low parry this, because it's a sword. The main reason I suggest not to low parry here is because of this move. This is the main reason I would say to not low parry the EI4. Even though if you low parry it, you don't have to guess. But this is not low parryable. This is a sword and it's a hell sweep. You want to block it and you want to punish it. So usually it's better to commit to a duck here. Usually. If you want to duck, just duck instead of low parry. So yeah, this is a hell sweep. You can't really do anything about this. You just have to duck it. Right? There's no stepping this. It tracks really well. There's no stepping the 2 or the 1+2. So you're basically stuck there. More or less you're stuck there. One of the best options you can do here to stop a lot of the options is a jab. So a jab, if you just mash a jab here, you will stop a lot of the options. The ones that will basically beat you is the power crush, because it's a power crush, and the next option that I'm going to talk about right now. So let me just showcase the power crush first. This right here. So let's say you 1-1, right? So it will beat you. If you do just a jab, it will still beat you. So there's no like escaping this. If you press a button, you're just getting beat by this. You can power crush here, but you're gonna get beaten by all the lows. But if you jab, you're also gonna beat the lows. So the power crush will beat you, and the next thing that will also beat you is the 1 option. So the 1 option is the most complicated one and the best one. This is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Will 1-4-3 be the power crush? No, it's not fast enough. Let me just showcase it, just so everyone sees it. But 1-4-3 is not fast enough here. You get hit by the power crush first before the 4 even comes out. Alright. So now let's talk about the 1 option. So the 1 is the best option that Victor has. It's one of the best moves he has in general, in my opinion. So this move, EI1. So EI1 is a 13 frame mid that basically checks you here, right? This into this. If you press, you're gonna get checked unless you power crush through. And this also can be confirmed. So EI1-1 is a confirmable mid-mid. That's a very, very easy confirm, by the way. You can confirm it pretty damn consistently. And that does 30 damage and wall splats. It's important to know that if they mess up the confirm or just do it, it's -14, right? So you do punish it. Can't launch it, but you punish it with down back 1-2, maybe if you can electric it. But yeah, this is very important. And this is basically what stops you from jabbing, aside from the power crush. Right? But now, why am I saying that this move is really, really good? The main reason I'm saying this move is really good is because after the 1, they have like 5 options. So this is one of them. 1-1. This is one option. Second option is 1-2. Another option. This is a launch punishable option, but they can also do this. So 1-2, if you block it, you can technically launch it. Right? You can. But this 1-2 has a follow-up 1+2. It might be a 1-2-2. I don't remember the name, but yeah, it's a 1-2-2. So this, you have to basically guess if they're gonna finish this string or they're gonna finish on the second one. So if you try to launch the second one, you're gonna get hit by this one. If you wait, you can launch this though. So it's a mix-up, right? A mix-up on block. So you have to guess if they finish this or don't finish it. What you can do, so let me mention this real quick. Is a maybe jab here, and I'm not too sure if this is gonna work. It's been a while since I've tested this, I'm gonna be honest. But if you jab here, maybe it's gonna work. If you do, maybe you have an option select. Basically, you won't launch them. Like, the launch is not an option select. You have to guess if you want to launch. But if you want to press a button that will beat both options, a jab is gonna work. Right? If you want 1 here, for example, you will punish the normal one, and you'll also float this one. So I did remember correctly. Let me see how many frames you have, just to check. You have 13 frames. So if you do a 13 framer, that's gonna work. So even if you do something like this, it's gonna work, but you won't really, get anything. So I would usually suggest to do a 1-1 because you can float it and you can hit confirm 1-1-2. For Kaz anyway. For other characters, if you want to find your own options, you have 13 frames here. If you have a quick 13 frame punish, that will also float them well, use that. Right? That's an option select punish. So it's really, really good. You can sidestep. You can sidestep the last hit, but there's no reason to. Because it's launch punishable anyway. There's no reason to sidestep you. Just block it and punch it. Okay. So that's another option from EI1-2, right? Now, EI1 has another option, which is 1-1+2. So the 1-1+2, what it usually does is it forces you to guess between this mid and this mid. Because sometimes you want to duck this, right? And this 1+2 is the same 1+2 as this one. Exactly the same move. So when you do block this, just have to know that you are -3 and in the exact same situation. So sometimes jab can work, they can down back 4, I already talked about this, right? Sometimes mid check, Kazuya they can't really mid check well, but yeah, you can do like a down forward 4 here, maybe, right? You can down jab is pretty annoying to deal with for the Victor player. So you have some options, but if you do read this, you can duck it and launch it. It is a high. But as I said, it's a mix up with the other two, what's it called? With the other two options. They are not fuzzyable. No, because the mid, this one is 22, this one is 20, and this one is 25. So the 25 maybe would have been fuzzyable, but the 22 existing, it's harsh. And I would not suggest fuzzying this as well, because let me talk about another extension. So it's not an extension per se, but it's a mind game.
I activate my credit card!
Ghost, thank you, man. Big thank you. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So yeah, let me continue talking about this. So 1-1, the other mind game it has is this. This basically uses the fact that you're not going to do anything after the jab, or let's say you fuzzy, or let's say you duck, or let's say you just backdash, or whatever you do, right? You're not going to press here. You're going to be patient. This uses that fact and basically keeps on checking you. And this is a confirm. As I said, they can just do this, and if they confirm the hit, they're going to finish it. If not, they can do a down and cancel it. And good Victor players, if they practice this, they can do it. And this is basically a way for them to just keep on, what's it called? Keep on doing this over and over again. You cannot item punish it not, because good Victor players can also high crush with this. So if they do something like this, something like that, they will actually crush some of your highs. You can maybe down jab here. Maybe. But it's gonna be hard to react to this whenever you're thinking that there's a high incoming, let's say, right? And then you try to jab. So you have to be careful about this. Really, really careful. To teleport. Because you are gonna be, let's say, fuzzing, let's say ducking, let's say expecting something else. So it is a mind game. If you can press in between, that's fine. But also remember they have a power crush here. This is also one of the things I wanted to talk about the power crush that they can utilize in this situation. I'll also talk about later, but in this situation they can utilize it, and it's very common to utilize it here. Because a lot of people will try to press after this, they see the teleport. So the sequence is somewhat like this, this, into the this. I just brain farted. Wait 1 second. So this. God damn it, man, I don't play this character. Something like this. So basically, you do this, block this, try to jab this, let's say you get hit, right? I was even slow with the jab. Like, you will get hit. So be very careful about this. Very, very careful. And it's very hard to react to anyway, so I won't really suggest doing it, but yeah, it just exists, so important to know. The 1 is the best option that Victors have, Victor players in general, and this will beat a lot of your stuff, like a lot of it. The only thing it won't beat is the power crush, but the power crush, let me just showcase this. Just so you guys can see it. Yeah, there we go. So that's what happens to my power crush. I'm not too sure about some of the other character power crushes, but this can also beat your power crush, right? Fun, I know. Very, very fun. But yeah, be very careful about the options that you choose. If you do a power crush, this will beat you. It will just beat you. They can also punish you, by the way. After the power crush whiffs, they can punish you with a 1-1-2. So be careful about using a power crush. Depends on your character's power crush, you can test this out. But yeah, this Kazuya's just whiffs for whatever reason, right? Whatever reason, it just whiffs. Okay, So now the other thing I wanted to talk about is the EI3. So the main application of this move is via this gunshot right here. So I just want to mention the gunshot. So again, this gunshot is a -3. Very important. Not a lot of people know how much minus this is, but it's -3. And whenever you block it, you cannot punish this. You cannot press into it because a lot of Victor players, what they do is they mash the power crush after it. So let's say you block this and you try to punish it, right? Like 1-1, doesn't work. Or close range, you try to do it. Most of the time it won't work because of the range. It will only work in very close range, but this usually won't happen. Like, it won't happen. Right? So this is very, very important. Very important to realize. And just like Not said in the chat, they will mash this even if they whiff it. Let's say you sidestep it. They'll still press it. Let's say you duck it. They will still press it. So this is why it's important to know that this is a thing that exists. They just do this, right? So you duck this, you dash electric. Let's say it is the correct thing to do on longer ranges. If you're too slow, like this situation, you will get beaten. Right now it's fast enough, but you will get beaten by that. So it's very, very important to be fast or bait it out. Bait it out and punish it. Yeah, rage out is a good option unless they cancel the stance, which they might also do. So let me just mention that as well. Some other Victor players, instead of going for the power crush, I didn't record. What they will do is after this, they're just gonna cancel the stance with this up, like that. And if you try to punish this, let's say with an electric, sometimes it whiffs, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Right? So you have to be very careful about this kind of stuff. Because Victor just crushes out of nowhere. The electric just whiffed out of nowhere, right? Sometimes you might down 4-2 even whiffs it. Like that, right? Down 4-2 didn't work. So be very, very careful. It's the same with rage darts. If you rage dart, they're just gonna block it via this. So yeah, it's just good to know. Most common option is gonna be the power crush, but some Victor players like doing this as well. Yeah, you can just do the rage dart as well. Like do this into rage dart basically. It will usually work. Usually. Not too sure about guys, I haven't tested it. But yeah. Okay, I think that's it for the neutral tools, unless I'm forgetting something. These are all neutral tools, and I also mentioned the stances. I will mention heat and the wall combo later, but let me just think about the neutral tools. Back 1-2, I didn't want to mention it, didn't see it that much. Down 1, I didn't mention this that much either, because this is usually a round ender. This is launch punishable, by the way. This and the high extension, both of them launch punishable. Jails, okay. Down 2, I mentioned. Forward 4 is a string, you just have to duck it. I can't really say anything about this with a normal mix-up. Up forward 1 I mentioned, down forward 1 I mentioned. Parry. Let me mention the parry, and that's gonna be it. Then I'll go to heat. I just remembered something. I forgot to mention EI down 1. I forgot to mention EI down 1. So when I was talking about the stance, this is a new move. That's why I forgot about this move. So this is another move that they will use for a mid mix-up. This will usually be at the wall, but they can also use it in the neutral. And this also tracks very well. You can see the tracking, right? You cannot step this. Just can't do it. So this is another mid mix-up they can use for the low or the hell sweep. They can't do it. And the most important part about this move, I can't believe I almost forgot about this, is that it's -2. So it has -2 with pushback properties. And that means that the Victor player can either do whatever he wants and, let's say, come and pressure you because you're too scared to press, or he can also backdash or sidestep and bait something that you pressed and then punish it. So it's super, super strong. Super strong, and you have to eat it, basically, right? As I mentioned, it is good to jab here, but you'll also beat this. A jab is fine to do. It's not that bad. You can also down jab, that also works, but usually a jab is what you want to do. Usually. But don't always jab, obviously, right? It becomes predictable. Okay, that's about that. Almost forgot about it. Now let's mention the parry. So this parry is not actually a parry, but it's actually a move that gets blocked. So think of something like a flash, Yoshimitsu flash, right? It's very, very similar in that regard. So this, you can block and it's -6. And this is very important because Victor players either mash after this or duck and then mash after this. Right? So be very careful about this whenever you block it. And whenever it gets whiffed, whenever it whiffs, let's say, it's very hard to react to and then punish it. That doesn't work. So it's basically not a flash, like it's not nerfed flash. If you want to punish this, you have to be like super fast. So I would not suggest trying to punish this because Victor players, they'll do this and then duck. Do something like this. This is what they'll do, especially against Gauss, right? You can check them with 4-4-2, that's fine. That's what I usually do if I don't want to punish with an electric. Why is Gauss flinching? Look at Kazuya flinching. The hell? But yeah, as I said, this is very, very important. +5 on hit, so it is plus. And it's +14 on a successful, let's say, parry or flash. It's the same exactly like flash when flash gets it back to 2 on Yoshimitsu heat engager. Victor also gets a heat engager with this. This is guaranteed. So parry into this is guaranteed if the parry works. So this is important to know. And sometimes you have to bait it, but it's harsh to be fair. Like this is basically a flash, which recovers faster than a flash. So yeah, good luck with that. Alright, I think that's all about the neutral tools. I'm 100% forgetting something, but I can't talk about everything, right? I talked about a lot already. But let's talk about his heat stuff. So heat, right? When Victor is in heat, this is one of the most annoying things he can do. But this is not anything new. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this, right? Explosion. Safe, basically crushes everything mid. You can step it somewhat, but yeah, very, very annoying to deal with. The other stuff you have to worry about is the heat engager with this, right? Pretty common heat engager here. And the other stuff is this new move. I already talked about this. The new move is the heat engager and goes to +5. That, and I also talked about this one. This is also a heat engager. So these moves are the moves that you have to worry about in general. And the sidestepping can work against them, but it's also scary in general to sidestep because, you know, they can just, I don't know, realign and then do this. And this is not steppable, right? This is not steppable. Already you showcase this into this. It's not steppable. You're just guessing here, more or less. Okay. So that's important. This is also important. Usually we want to step this, but it has a lot of range, so be careful about this. The next thing, obviously, is the heat smash. So the heat smash got changed for people who didn't know. This was a new change, so all low heat smashes that were launch punishable, they're not anymore. They're -14. So Victor's from 15 to 14. Same with Lee's. Lee's is also 14 now, so you cannot launch it anymore. Unless you're Brian or Lars or Electric it. I would not suggest ever Electric in this, by the way, usually, right? But so go for a down back 4-4 punish. Down back 1-2 punish. What's the down back 4-4? But yeah, down back 1-2 is going to be your punish here. You can also do something else like back 1-2, 1-1-2, whatever. Just punish it whenever you block it. So very, very important. Other than that, he also gets a powered up versions of his moves, like down 2, for example, right? And this is going to be very, very important for him to cover on his wall scenarios. That's not the only thing, obviously, but it's very, very important to cover. So let's talk about this, right? Now the wall scenario is one of the most busted wall scenarios in the game right now. Whenever you are at the wall against Victor, and let's say he combos you to the wall, which will happen very easily because Victor's combo game is one of the best in the game. You can very easily go to the wall, even in the arena stage, not the arena, Coliseum stage. Very easily go there. So you have to be very careful. So when you go to the wall, why am I saying this? So when you go to the wall, the main issue about Victor is that the Victor players will basically do the old setup in Season 1. If you guys remember or know, in Season 1, Victor had this setup. So whenever he wall splatted you or when you were to the wall, you're gonna do this, EI stance, down 1+2, right? So this is a setup. If you stay down, it's gonna hit you. If you stand up, you're gonna block it. You cannot avoid this, and it's always gonna chip you down. Always. And that's a mix-up. It was a mix-up with a Hell Sweep, basically, because the Hell Sweep also hit grounded. Right? So this is a Season 1 stuff. Season 1 wall combo was also very, very strong, especially in Heat, because if Victor is in heat and he does that, and the down 2, this will also deal more damage, a little bit more damage, and it will chip you more if you block it as well. So yeah, very, very important in Season 1 to know this, but in Season 2, they buffed the situation. I don't know what they were thinking. It was already very, very strong, that this situation got absolutely way worse for us. Like, at least twice or 3 times worse. Why? Now let me explain why. So, this situation, the mid before was this, right? This was basically the mid that they were using. They can still use it if they want to, but now the mid situation changed because of the new move. So I already mentioned it, right? But this new move can be used in this situation, like something like this. And as you guys saw, that move hits grounded. It hits absolutely grounded, and it flips you over. It's not just a grounded move, it flips you over. So let me just demonstrate the situation real quick. To the wall. Wait 1 second. Record it. There we go. So let's say you went to the wall, does this wall combo, you get up, you block this, right? You stand up, you did the right thing, you blocked it, you're -2 now. And I already said the -2 with pushback here, it's very, very scared to do anything, and the Victor can just do whatever they want. They can either bait you, punish you, press something because you're too scared to press something, so, or check you with the jabs, whatever. Very scary situation whenever you block this, so on block it's amazing, right? And because of this wall combo, you also cannot tech roll, and you also cannot step this. You cannot step this, you cannot tech roll it, and you cannot stay grounded, and when you block it, it's bad. So I just listed all of the properties this move has, right? It hits you grounded, flips you over. When you stand up, you're in a mix-up, it's a mid, right? And it's -2 on block, so it's very, very bad even when you block it. And when you get hit by it, you will get wall splatted, as we just saw. And the biggest thing, which is the difference from the Season 1, is that, just like chat mentioned, you cannot power crush this. You could power crush this down 2, even though you took a lot of damage, but you cannot power crush this. This is too fast. So this is basically a perfect mix-up that you cannot do anything about. Literally nothing unless you block it. So the -2 block situation is the worst case scenario for Victor. And that's the best case scenario for you. So that's how busted this is. And now let's talk about what the mix-ups are. The mix-ups are just exactly the same as in Season 1. Whenever they wall splat you and do this, they basically mix you up with a hell sweep, which also hits grounded, by the way, so you cannot stay grounded. No matter what, you can't stay grounded. The hell sweep is going to mix you up, and the hell sweep will knock you down if you stand up as well. And it also tracks. You can't really do anything about this. It's a pure mix-up with this down 1. Pure mix-up. You can't do anything. You just have to guess. The other mix-up they might go for is the EI4. They want to, be a little bit safer, for example, right? They can't do that if they feel like it. So, yeah, very important. The other thing they can also do is to just not go into stats. So this situation is absolutely insane. So EI stance options are busted. Both of them, the hell sweep and the down 1 and the down 2, all of them are busted. But if they feel like they don't want to risk it too much, let's say they don't want to go for the hell sweep as a low mix-up, they can just go for a non-EI stance low, let's say a down back 4 or down 4 or full crouch mix-up immediately afterwards, if they feel like it, because they have that option. So this is absolutely busted, and I just wanted everyone to know, because this is a Victor speed lab, this is very important to say, that you cannot do anything about this. You're just guessing, more or less. You can, let's say, try to fuzzy, right? You can try to fuzzy it, because this move is like 2 frames slower, not slower, faster than this one, but good luck fuzzing in 2 frames, right? Maybe you can try it. I can't do it, usually anyway, I can't do it. So you're in a guess, you can't stay down, you can't do anything, usually. One thing I will give as a tip is that usually it's better to stay down, get flipped over, let's say, and get out of the wall. Usually. It's better to make that decision and get hit on purpose. It's crazy that I'm saying this, but yeah, it's better to get hit on purpose as long as you're not gonna die, obviously. Just get hit on purpose. After you get hit on purpose, so let me just demonstrate this, right? Yikes. Don't block. Do this. So whenever this situation happens, just get hit by this on purpose, like stay down, get hit, and just do this to get away from the wall. So at least now, position-wise, you're a little bit better. Just a little bit, but it's better. You did take how much damage? Like 17 damage because it flipped you over. Whatever, right? But at least the position is better and you're not gonna be wall splatted by guessing wrong. Because if you stand up and duck, you're gonna get wall splatted. If you stand up and hell sweep, you're gonna get knocked down, still at the wall, and even if you stay down, the hell sweep hits you, you can still tech roll out of the wall. So it's a good situation. It's a little bit of a tip that sometimes it's better to actually get hit instead of, you know, guessing. And there are a lot of situations like this, but this is one of them. This is 100% one of them. Oh yeah. Am I actually done? I talked so much. Holy hell. It's been a while since I talked this much in a speed lab. I talked so much. And very fast too, so I was trying to make this not as long as as much as I could, right? But I think we're done. Talk for another hour. I think we're done. But yeah, YouTube, big thank you for watching. Everyone who watches this, big thank you. I know it's a long vid, but whenever I do labs like this, you have to, you know, mention this kind of stuff. It's very, very important, because if I don't, what's the meaning? If I forget some stuff, my bad. Obviously, I can't remember everything. So I've been talking for almost an hour now. But yeah, YouTube, also once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next speed lab. Till then.